Alright, so now we're live. Jake's going to do the intro. As long as we are live. I think we're live.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, we are.
I'm Jake. Welcome to Jackass.
So this is episode 27 of the Clutch Kick, and I am one of your hosts, EG, as well as Gerg down below me.
Gerg
Just have
from,
to
Gerg from Sydney. Hi, boys.
make sure I
and
get the
girls.
orientation right. And
Yeah,
today's
gender
guest-
non-specific people.
today's guest is Jake, but not really a guest, I guess. It's just another person to join in the conversation. Our the guest that we had planned was unfortunately unavailable, but we'll get him on definitely at a later stage. So anyway,
Maybe even at a red stage.
a red stage. What's that supposed to mean?
Hey, where did the team red stage come from? Have we had this discussion before? Seeing as I've got two of you.
Jake, I don't know if Jake knows the story.
Groupie. I know the story.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it though.
Oh,
You
it's
came up with
secret.
it, so.
Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't even me that came up with it. It was someone else. I'm pretty sure I told this story before.
You told me the story. I thought you came up with it.
No.
Have you done the story on this show before?
I'm pretty sure we spoke about it like earlier on.
Did you?
Maybe it's one of those unaired episodes that we did.
Maybe.
Because we did a couple of those test episodes just to see how it go.
Yeah, well, explain the story. Because Jake's one of your team red stage mates, so, why not?
So this was back in 2009 when we had our first car trip. So it was myself, Rob, and James, another sort of person from Canberra. And I guess we were just traveling around Japan. Actually, that was the trip to scope out if it was possible to do drifting at Ibisu and things like that. So we went to Matsuri and then had a look and went, yeah, cool, we have to come back to this. And then the rest of the trip we went to other tracks, other cities, had a look around, did some touristy things. And while we were doing that, we saw some car dealerships, some Nissan ones, and because all of us drive Nissans, they sort of stood out to us. And there were two distinct dealership types. There was red stage and blue stage. And then so Rob would just make up this story like the red stage guys fighting against the blue stage guys or something like that. And then he kept saying, because I think he figured out that the red stage dealerships had the GTRs and things like that, but the blue stage was the more the consumer small cars, I think. Anyway, they weren't the performance type of cars. So that's why Rob would call us Team Red Stage. Anyway, I took all these photos and videos and things like that, brought it back to Canberra. Initially, I was going to help post things on the Fate Motion blog. So I wrote up all these articles or posts and put some images up, and they wouldn't publish it. So I went, I've done all this work, and so then they just wouldn't publish it. So I went, all right, fine, I'll just make up something because I've done all this work. And I thought, oh, I need to make up something, so I just picked that thing that Rob was going on about because he's constantly saying it throughout the trip, and so that was it. So
Stuck.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything serious, not like some of the other groups, I guess. But this one, and yeah, just sort of built on. So it was initially just somewhere where I could post a blog. And that page, well, that blog is still active, hasn't been posted on, and eventually I just sort of, we invited more and more people into the group.
Well, it has been posted on because you posted up a video last week of your Wakefield trip, and you sort of broke the internet with. Oh no,
this
you
is
did that on your
an
personal?
actual
No, you...
blog. No, this is actually
blog,
not a
WordPress, mate.
Yeah. So I think it's.
Oh, when
like,
you used to have to read to get information.
Yeah, so I posted every day for about 4 months. I think with all the stuff that I collected in Japan, except for weekends where I just put one post up for the weekend, whatever that was. And generally, it'd be things. There's a couple of things that I linked to other places like YouTube that I didn't create, but everything initially was all the images and videos were things that I took.
Do you ever go back and look at it and think like, oh, I got up to some cool things on that trip, or you just sort of never actually go back and look at it at all?
I did. I was actually considering making one of those uber long videos that other people seem to be posting up these days.
Like we do every week?
Kind of, but like it's there's some people that just post up the whole entire 7 hours of video they recorded for a 1 week trip, and I was considering doing that because I've got a computer capable of putting that together now, because before I didn't, and the facilities actually upload it as well. Not at home though.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey Jake, stop moving your hand on your bloody phone, mate. You're making loud noises through the bloody headset.
Save battery.
This guy, rude. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. Over the weekend, there was the second event ever held at Port Macquarie, Spawn the Drift, run by Flash, one of the New South Wales local guys. And it looked like that event went off really, really well. Huge sort of lineup of cars from New South Wales and Queensland, again, similar to what was at the Bash in regards to numbers coming from north and south. Sadly, it seems like there's a little bit of a fallout from the event. Some sort of poor choice of wording in some of the, I guess, the releases around the event. There was I guess a team drift component to their event. I don't want to call it a competition, because if this is, ends up being listened to at all, but sadly they put that up online, and I think a lot of that's been removed now, considering it was just a fun event. But New South Wales Sport and Rec got in contact with, I know they got in contact with the Curse Sunday boys, questioning how their competition was judged and all this sort of stuff. Yet the Bash wasn't a competition. And neither was Spawn the Drift. They both just gave out merit awards and stuff like that. But sadly, the compliance officer for New South Wales Sport and Rec has been tipped off by somebody. There are a few accusations that have come from within the scene, but after speaking to a few people, I can pretty much confirm that any of the people rumoured to have been people who have dobbed it in had nothing to do with it. And there's huge potential that it's come from the local cops who weren't all that happy about the Bash happening in the first place, and actually showed up on the Sunday of the Bash with a radar gun in plain clothes to make sure that the event was running to the DA approval that had gone through the council. And I think this is probably something similar, where they have shown up in plain clothes to check up on the event, because there is DA approval to run, as far as I'm aware, from what I've been told by the boys who organised the Bash, that they had DA approval to run sort of practice events, just nothing, non-competitive events that needed sanctioning from like a CAMS or a bigger insurance company. But sadly, somewhere along the lines, information has got back to somebody that's then been passed on to New South Wales Sport and Rec, that have now gone in and tried to see what these events, were running as, but they were nothing more than fun events. But yeah, so any of the guys who are trying to run events at places, just be careful when you're running an event, even if you're doing like a fun competition type component to your event. New South Wales sucks for the legislation with a lot of this stuff, so just be super careful how you go about it. There's a reason that guys like Lee from Driving Sports and Sam from Australian Drift Club have struggled to get events happening at other locations, and even things like the way DSA runs, like you've got to have a passenger in the car at all times at drift school, even if you're just running passenger laps at the end of the day under their insurance. And I know the local cops out at Blacktown drive past to check to make sure that there's guys in the car, because for some reason they don't love the fact that there's drifting running in the car park out there. So
dumb.
Yeah, it really is, and there's no real hate coming from in the scene itself because everybody seems to mix
Alright, except hate for
sort
me.
of. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate
Well, that's
everyone,
all right.
remember?
You're a dickhead, so it's okay. But there seems to be this big mesh between lots of the groups, and I don't. I know and trust the dudes who have given me their word that it wasn't them who had thrown any of that because realistically, I think I've driven Port and only got a handful of laps in. You've done two. You did 2 full days there, right? Or
Yep.
other than you had a few dramas on the first day, but it's somewhere I think everybody wants to go back to. So I can't
Yeah,
see anybody.
Northern Track.
So I think even throwing hate on another event that's been held there, considering the track owners are the ones giving permission for that event to take place and to continue to take place, I don't think anybody wants to risk losing the venue over some petty politics that doesn't really exist. You know, people are going to make comments where they want to make comments, but I don't think anybody's stupid enough to risk the future of having another track. So, yeah, just I'm sure it'll start to come out in the coming days, and that's why the Cursed Sunday boys put a Cursed Sunday style post up on their Facebook page yesterday, and it was
It
that's
was
just
kind
their
of
way
out
of
of
doing it.
context for people that didn't know what was going on, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably thought it was a dig at high tech or a dig at competition driving in general, but it wasn't. That was them trying to be like, "Fuck, we didn't run a competition. It had nothing to do with a competition." So yeah, just yeah.
Well,
Um,
I think part of it is they didn't word it intentionally that way as well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's more of a joke rather than a dig at someone or some
And
group or whatever.
Yeah,
nah,
I just had too many lollipops.
yeah, and it wasn't aimed in that way. I also have word through that if they didn't want that event to take place, they could have held an event on that weekend. They just chose to let other people, considering it's all run through Awesome Drive, the guys who sort of had Kembla or who own Kembla and were trying to make other places happen. So they're the ones tied up with the track owners. So if the Curse guys didn't want an event to take place or under a different organization, they could have stopped it by holding their own event or just basically not letting other people have access to the track. So yeah, there really is no hate within the scene when it comes to that stuff. It has come from outside of it. So yeah, anybody who's got misconstrued ideas about what that post actually meant from the Curse Boys, it's not a dig against high tech and the competition stuff. It's because they would like that track to stay open that they've actually managed to help make happen. So don't get on your high horse too badly about that one. Just anybody who's holding an event there, I know the Produced Auto guys. Tommy from Produced Auto is holding a 2-day event up there in November, and I guess he's got applications open, but it's more not really. It's not an invite event. It's more just to make sure and see if people are actually going to front the money to make that happen. So hopefully that event is all clear and okay to happen. It's only a practice day, but hit up the Produced Auto page on Facebook if you actually want to go up and drive that track, and hopefully we don't end up having too many dramas with it. And hopefully we can get somebody from New South Wales Sport and Rec to actually show up to one of these events, and maybe they'll help us actually make things better, considering they've got this huge keen eye on it. And it's not a joke that there was an actual email from the compliance officer from New South Wales Sport and Rec. So look, hopefully we can get some of these official dudes up to one of these events and get them to sit in some cars and enjoy it, and maybe, just maybe, they'll push the government to change some legislation so that we can run events in, say, the car park at Western Sydney and get some practice events going that are safe. And I think that drifting gets thrown in the motorsport basket like we're all going over 200k an hour like it is down the front straight at Eastern Creek and all that sort of stuff, not the fact that, once we're sideways at a place like Port, we're not going any more than maybe 50k an hour in some of those corners. So it's pretty safe, and you don't need a huge amount of runoff. So, we'll wait and see what happens. But hopefully the impact from the weekend hasn't been too bad, and hopefully the impact's from outside of the scene and there's not too much bullshit within the scene because of it.
What are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a really cool track, and I'd really like to drive there again. So I just think people should behave themselves and try to show drifting off in the best manner possible. So
Yeah, I don't think any of that.
No flame
wasn't-
wars.
Yeah, and I don't think any of that was. I don't think any of that actually took place, really. And I think both events look like they went really well. But yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's what I've seen as well.
yeah, just be super careful with what you write because New South Wales legislation sucks, and that's one of the reasons Fink has struggled to come down here to run a DCA event and do all that sort of stuff, and that we've struggled to get other venues because yeah, New South Wales legislation is shit, and that's pretty much the end of the story on that one. So, and then watching, buddy, I don't know if you guys saw, Fink had, I guess his first non-Crab Lab organised street meet style thing last night, I think. Yeah, last night, and the whole track was packed. He just keeps a little figure eight sort of section open for some drifting. I reckon there was 40 cars there doing skids, and then a couple of hundred cars in the, laid out all over the track, and then down on the street as well. And then there was 2 highway patrols just making sure people, weren't being dickheads. And it didn't sound like anybody got defected or anything. And I just wish we could get something like that here. And if the rules would change in regards to doing skids in car parks and things like that, end of month meet could come back and not so many dickheads would do skids leaving the venue because they won't have any tyres left to do skids leaving venues. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of saying we're
It's not in
politically,
Australia, so
yeah,
we're still idiots.
kind of saying we're politically correct as fuck tonight, but it's not even about being politically correct. We just want to go back and keep being able to do skids in the couple of places that we actually have. So, yeah, like that's where I'm at with that. Jai's also said that Curse Sundays don't do fourth, so.
That's true. Like,
So-
I think the first time I tried to chase Jai, I almost slammed in the back of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's low.
Uh,
You still watching?
I Connor's saying that it was your reply, Jake, that was politically correct.
Oh, okay. To be honest, I sort of just went to sleep listening to you, so I don't know what he was really wanting. So
That's all right. All right. Well, let's get on to. There was 2 big events over the weekend. Oh, okay. So locally, Drift West Outlaws was on. I watched a little bit of that.
Yeah. So did I. That
Your
was
mate.
interesting. So did you see? You guys saw the video of how they run the competition, right? So it's not like a traditional
just-
knockout tournament.
Yeah, and we'd spoken to Ken about it a little bit, I think. So it ended up being. Oh, and I saw that other podcast thing did a catch up with one of the Drift West guys, and so they've done it. I think each driver does 4 battles, and they've got a couple of stand-in drivers. Like if say Jake, well, let's say I'm entered, but Jake's not entered, and I break early in the day, which is almost a given. Jake will step straight into my spot, even if I've already done 1 battle. He will just finish my final 3 battles or whatever, and then sort of the finals are decided basically off who's collected the most points. I guess it was cool because you could watch the live stream and there was constant battles, but
Yeah.
it sort of became hard to follow because they were handing out winners, but you didn't understand, what it meant to actually win, because then all of a sudden that car was
Yeah.
back out again in a couple of runs later. I like the format. I just don't think, and I know it's the first round, so the commentators probably didn't have it locked down on how to explain it to the audience, but hopefully,
That was
they
the
can
final,
get
wasn't it?
I didn't watch the finals. I watched all the battles because your mate
No,
Ken
that
ended
was
up running.
that was the
Was that the final round? No, I think
wasn't it?
I thought that was the first round. I'm pretty sure that was the first round, because this is a whole new thing they're trying out there this year with the big live stream and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
no,
the
round
live stream
4.
is
Yeah,
the live stream is good.
yeah,
The idea of constant battles is good, but
Yeah.
there really needs to be. The one thing is, I didn't know how people were progressing in the series, because you kind of need to show people's placing after each run, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or like each series of runs.
Yeah, like whether. Yeah, or how it impacts their accumulation of
Yeah.
points and how it impacts them making it further into the competition, sort of thing.
Yeah. Because you
and
kind of watch it and they just have a battles and like, oh yeah, he won and that's it. It's like, well, I don't know what the impact is overall, and it's just, is it good or
Yeah.
bad? Like, is it like, oh yeah, this guy just beat this guy, so then he's beating another guy and he's actually coming first now. So there's like a really good comp there. But it doesn't really.
I think-
it's missing excitement.
Yeah, like from a driver's perspective, it would be a great event because you're constantly getting out there to drive. And then from a spectator point of view, it's kind of cool because it cuts down on the downtime, but it makes it a whole lot harder to follow at this stage. So I think if they can get down some form of format and get their scores to the commentators, not the scores for the runs, but how the scores are accumulating throughout the day, quicker to the commentators so they can explain how it's all going down, and hey, this guy really needs to win this battle to stay in the run to make it through to your top 8 or whatever it ends up being for your finals. That would probably be better, but I think this is the first one with the big live stream going.
I think they need a chart on their live stream, like a
yeah, and they had a few graphics
like,
and stuff. Yeah, but they had
something on the
they had a
side
few
where
graphics going.
you can see, like, it's like a table, so you can see as drivers beat other drivers or lose, then you can see them like go up and down, move around. And then you can see when people are coming up, and you can tell. Yeah, so there needs to be more information. It makes it more complicated because it's good, but it's also bad. Like, there's pros and cons, and that one's good for battles, but
yeah, well, a regular drift comp is really linear. Like, that's it. You knock out, you move on. You knock out, you move on.
Yeah.
Where this is a little bit more involved, and so yeah, it makes that little bit harder. I also didn't think the layout lent itself to being all that great for battles. Did you see it at all, Jake? For any of the Driftware stuff? So they were using the last corner of the main circuit, and then using sort of the new pit entrance, and sort of the runoff area as an area to just sort of do a hairpin back around after they went down onto the front straight a little bit. And yeah, conditions looked like it was changing. It rained a couple of times, and yeah, there was a lot of good drivers there, like Chris Day and Greaves and Monk, and they just, to me, they're solid drivers who have done a lot of Drift Australia, ADGP, and just, I didn't feel like it was putting their best foot forward. And then your mate, Kevin Leong? Ken Leong.
Kevin.
I don't know. I got the K right. He straight up ran into the side of Monk on a turnaround to come back into the pits for their score. Like, it was after the run had happened, and I think Monk chucked a U-turn in front of him that he wasn't expecting, and he just drilled his fucking ball.
Sounds like Nick.
yeah, Nick did that as well.
So that was pretty entertaining. So that was the one other problem that they had with the layout they're running. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then Vic Drift also had another round. But Sanders, if you're listening, you haven't been feeding us enough information, mate. You slacked off. But they ran their
We're not on Facebook. That's why we're not streaming on Facebook.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. But that looked like a good event.
You try and look at the scores. Oh, the results.
Yeah, I have qualifying. Mo El Hooley was number 1 qualifier with a number 2, but that's not really a surprise because at the high-tech round at Winton, he was absolutely killing it and took Yates to a rerun before his motor shit the bed.
Yeah, bottom end knock, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, solid driver. But when he gets enough seat time at the venue that he's going to drive at. So no, it doesn't look like they put up the final results anyway. Bit funny. So Mitch, if you're listening, but you're probably over us now, send us some results. And yeah, that's all I know that was local. And then FD and D1 GP were on over the weekend, and I think I watched a little bit of D1. The layout at Tsukuba annoys the shit out of me, so I don't really watch it that much. And then I watched the top 16 and a little bit of qualifying from FD at Evergreen. So I know you probably watched a little bit more than me because we spoke off air a little bit and you said it annoyed you. So what did you think of? Let's go FD to start with.
They both
Let's go
annoyed
FD
me.
to start with.
FD? No, it just wasn't exciting. Just the layout and they're both kind of boring. I think they're almost the same, but like in different continents now on that round anyway.
Yeah,
I agree.
Evergreen is kind of cool if you understand from a technical side because I'm pretty sure it's one of the fastest continuous corners on any drift.
You mean just a big power slide, big burnout round?
Yeah. But
not really.
Only front wheel drives can power slide.
But I think average through that corner is, up past like 150, 160k an hour continuous mid corner, like the whole way through. So it's one of the faster ones for that length of time.
Yeah, but you could approach that corner if you had a powerful enough car. You can approach that corner at 10 k's an hour, put it in fifth gear, dump the clutch, just bake all the way around there. How's that interesting?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see any of James Dean's in-car footage from that?
No. So honestly, I couldn't watch both of them. They were just so not entertaining. I watched it. I watched some of it, and then it's more like I got distracted, so something else caught my attention, and that was it. It was just like, yeah, this is more interesting than FD and D1. So
yeah. Well, I know that they ended up also that track got resurfaced. So in previous years during the battles, there's been at least a couple of cars end up in the wall. But it looks like this year even more so that now that the track has been resurfaced, it's a whole lot safer to drive around. And there didn't end up being any major accidents. And I wouldn't say the skill level would be that much higher than it was 12 months ago. I think that just the track's probably a whole lot safer now, which is probably what's made it a little bit more mundane and a little bit more boring when it comes to that first part.
I've seen the FD drivers in Australia. So when Luke invites them over, they come over, they do the courses that we set up, and it's like, yeah, these guys can drive. But then you go watch an event like that, and it just doesn't look interesting. Maybe they could change the camera, because one of the things with D1 that I wasn't happy about was they had like two webcam type things at the, I think it's turn one. It is turn one, and because they didn't have cameras there, so you had really nice sort of camera down the straight going to the first corner to turn one, and then it changed to these like looks like webcams that are fixed, and then it'll come in off the straight on the webcam, then disappear, and then a few seconds later it'd appear in the other webcam. Well, it looks like webcam. It's probably not a webcam, but anyway, it just doesn't look interesting. And then also that's like a non-judge zone, which I could kind of get, but it's just as a person, a spectator watching on a live stream, which is free, which is cool, but it's not entertaining. Like, there's no excitement. The camera needs to be low or interesting. Like, there needs to be some excitement. I think with FD, because you just sort of watch them just bake around that first corner, I think it kind of was exciting when they came off and then they had to switch a little bit, but the clip seemed set up in a way where if you missed, like I think Nick put it the right way, if you missed the line that they set, then you pretty much kicked off. So if you made a mistake there, that's it, you're out. So
yeah, but and I guess that ended up being that touch and go just off the bank because they treated it as though there was a wall there. So if you end up dropping wheels off it, they were fairly harsh, but not harsh like they used to be 2 wheels off being a 0. But if you ended up 3 off, the other guy had to make a pretty substantial mistake to sort of lose it. That course used to slow down even more than it does now for the last clip. Like the last clip used to be this really super tight hairpin, but it ended up sort of really shutting the door on the runs. And yeah, I don't know. To me, a lot of the guys weren't tucking up as tight as I would have thought that they would around that bank. But again, I think the huge speed mid corner, continuous speed mid corner means that nobody's sort of catching back up. You can't really leave a gap. The only reason you'd catch up on that corner is if you've got a whole lot more grip than the guy in front of you, I guess.
Yeah.
So, or at least on some of the
Or
slower
you drop off the
courses.
ball.
Yeah. It will come down off. Yeah, you drop right down the bowl to cut in. But I think they're pretty harsh on that too. And I think if you cut in too much, even as the chase car, it sets you up really badly for the next part. So you're better off losing proximity and being that little bit slower than being able to set yourself up for a dive in the next part. And maybe it's because the driving was super safe that it does make it a little bit more boring, I guess, in ways as well. But I also think it'd be interesting. Need to try and see what some of the post-production stuff looks like from. I think they still have a show on NBC over there that goes to TV, and I don't think they use the live stream cameras. I think they have separate cameras. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like from. Like a corner that fast would be really cool panning from down at the bottom of the bowl as they come past or something like that. But I think for the live stream to try and cut down on the number of cameras but cover as much of the course as possible, that's where the cameras sort of end up. And I think that's the same with how D1 was sort of laid out. So, yeah, I still thought overall event was really good. And James Dean's, I think he's pretty much a couple more solid finishes, like not even podium finishes, and I think he's pretty much wrapped up back-to-back FD championships.
Wasn't there some sort of controversy with him? I saw some
over the weekend.
On Facebook.
No, the drive was pretty good. I don't think anything.
Like he didn't have it wasn't one of the things he should have been knocked out or something like that.
Nah, from what I saw, it was all pretty good. Like he had a battle against Peter again in the top 4, and Peter drove off the track. I think the final battle could have potentially gone to a one more time. I messaged Michael from DriftBit because they had the DriftBit in Ryan Turk's car for Thursday practice and Friday, and I thought he was still at the event for Saturday, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure if your DriftBit is a data collection thing or is it an autonomous drifting device, because Turk hasn't driven amazingly all year, and then all of a sudden he's got the DriftBit in the car and he goes and puts it on the podium. And Michael replied, "Oh yeah, we pulled it out after qualifying, and I'm already on a plane on my way to go to King of Nations in Europe." So it wasn't the DriftBit that made him end up on the podium, but I thought it may have been because I was looking to invest heavily in that because then I might look like a good driver.
Based on how Turk went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, hey, he had the DriftBit in the car, and then all of a sudden he got really good. So.
Yeah, it could be.
I,
Maybe you learned something during the qualifying time.
Yeah, potentially. So no, that was cool, and yeah, the Formula Drift V8 domination is not a thing because there's 3 2Js on the podium.
That's 2J domination instead.
Yeah, pretty much.
None of that 1J crap.
Don't you have a 2J, Gerg?
Yeah, I do. It's in pieces.
Yeah.
Maybe if I put like the pieces like throughout the car in different spots, it would like be better.
Don't you have the same suspension as James Dean as well?
Nah, he has like nah, he has Wisefab version 2. Thank you very much. And
When are you getting that?
when am I getting that? I've actually been thinking about it. I have been thinking about it. Well, there's more adjustability. I think you can actually caster adjust and all that compared to the old one.
Adjustability for?
No, it's not that I want more adjustability. It's more that I would like to be able to pull more caster into the car and get it to feel more like not Wisefab and more like some of your regular steering lock kits. And I think that's what version 2 sort of has done. So that's the only reason I look at it.
Your coilovers back in with stock knuckles and LCA.
My coilovers are fine, mate.
Oh yeah, you replaced them. Why can't you just put standard knuckles and LCAs in and just a normal cast
Nah.
front arm.
That's boring.
It's,
Josh
why
told
is
me
it
I need to
boring?
go. Josh told me I need to go
Why is it
Coastal, but
boring? Why is it
he
boring?
can't. Jai can't keep a
drift.
tie
You
rod in
can't drift
straight.
You can't drift with
And-
stock. Actually, Wisepo's pretty notorious for bending tie rods as well.
Yeah, I've never bent one.
Well, you spend your
actually
time in the
never bent one.
pits, like it's.
Because he don't drive.
Hey, in the first 4 months of me having the Wisepop, I drove heaps and never bent one.
Did you actually drift?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was sitting 7th in the championship in high tech after 2 rounds at 2016.
Cool.
And that's when there was more than
Cool
16
story.
cars, or
Okay.
more than 8 cars, I guess.
And then,
Um,
so that makes that if you do that, then that means because in DCA you're kind of near the bottom. That means that DCA is the more skilled comp.
you're
isn't it?
you're such a shit stirrer. But yes,
No, I want to get some of the guys that are predominantly on high tech onto DCA. I think it'd be cool. There's a couple of guys I really want to come on just because there's other people that saying that these guys are just your high tech, they're shit drivers or whatever. But I watch them and I'm like, no, they're pretty good and they'll definitely beat you. But why
Have
don't they
any
come to
entered Cash
DCA?
Kings?
Hey,
Have any entered Cash Kings?
no,
High tech guys?
I don't think
There's-
so.
there's one. Because you remember, high tech is on the same weekend
Yeah,
or on the
same
same day.
Same day
Same day. So
in the same
there is
state.
I can't announce it. Well, I don't know if it should be announced, but I know there's a dude who has run a lot of the seasons of high tech that's not currently running this year. That is driving Cash Kings. So I think that'll be announced at some stage fairly soon. And yeah, he's driving.
Yeah, well,
driving
actually,
Cash Kings. So
you know who a good example was? Jabbit. Remember Jabbit? He came. Oh, you weren't. I don't think you were there. He came to Rayleigh to do DCA. And he came second.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. He smashed it. He was such
Yeah,
a good driver.
yeah, and those guys, I don't think there would be any issue with them doing well at a DCA event. And I think after last week's episode of this with Steve, he put up a post on the Toge kids talking, just give us your opinion between why you like competition or why you like practice days more. Just put it up there, and Jabbit sort of said he enjoys both, but he said there's no feeling like doing 60 laps in a day and not having any dramas with a car, doing a regular practice day. And he said there's no other feeling also like having the boost fully wound up on 265 semis and feeling the front wheels lift as you're full noise through a corner, trying to challenge yourself against some of the best drivers in the country. So there definitely is.
Yeah, see,
There
I
is
read
that
that.
aspect to it.
I can understand the feeling of that, but you can do that on a practice day, and there are really good drivers on practice days, and they
yes
run
and
on
no.
semis on practice days.
It's a different pressure though, because you can on a practice day you can go out and you can
It's
fuck
just
it
in
up.
your mind.
No, because you can go out and you can fuck it up on a practice day and know that, guess what, I can go to another lap and it's no drama. Where in competition, you've only got that one lap to put it all out there, and that's what it was like for me with skating and why I got straight into the comp stuff with the drifting to begin with, because for me, I didn't have a huge circle of people around me when I first started drifting, and for me, I went out and did as many figure eight events as I could, and eventually I could turn a lap there without thinking twice. And I was like, oh, this is now boring because I got no friends. I can't tandem anyway. So let's go do high tech. But that gave me that nervous buzz again. But now that I've got people to drive with,
Yeah, that's
I
kind
sort of can
true.
get that feeling from there.
No, I think that's the same sort of. I don't even know how to define this group, but it's like when you say you don't have anyone to drive with, it's you. When people recognize your skill, if you actually have the skill, then they'll come and see you. They'll come and chase you.
Yeah.
They'll say,
Yeah, but
"Hey, you look cool."
but
And
But
that's
at a
that's the
figure eight
reason
event, you
why.
don't get that though. At a
You
figure eight
can.
event, you don't really. Yeah, you do a little bit. Yeah, like when Glenn Ormerod in the K70 with the 13B was
Yeah.
first starting to drift a little bit, Yates sent him to. All of a sudden, I see these headlights cut through the middle of the figure eight and come after me, and Yates had told him to go and start chasing me because I could, I was super consistent around the figure eight.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were days like that, but just the way that those events there are structured, it makes it hard to organize, and often
Yeah.
because you've got events almost twice a month on it. There's not many dudes who are amazing that show up to irregular ones. You sort of get super irregular with it. Now a little bit more, I know more guys, so I can be like, hey, I'm gonna head out to this event. Are you gonna are you interested?
It
Try and
makes
come
it more
out.
fun. Yeah, doing
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
I think driving with me, I think driving with mates is really fun, and putting on like a show with mates is really good. And
Yeah.
it's more exciting. It is like doing comps is a different sort of excitement, but my preference is driving with mates.
But you also haven't driven with 600 horsepower and 265 semis.
Yet.
I haven't driven with semis. I've driven with I don't know how much horsepower. It's probably more than 600. But yeah, it's not. There weren't semis.
Yeah, but it really does change the way the car reacts and does all that. So, look, I can understand it, but yeah, a lot of my argument with some of it is just, and as Jai said previously, it's dollar per lap that for some people, and the justification for all that.
So
Ristic's agreeing with you, saying that you can drive 600 horsepower on semis at a practice day, but it's that opportunity to only put in. You've only got that one chance of putting that perfect lap down, and that's what the guys who are super serious are sort of doing it for. And I
yeah,
understand that, but
see,
but
I
again,
can
if you
understand the points there. Like, definitely, if you, but then you get other people that they think they can do that, but they can't. They need more practice.
oh yeah, 100%. And this is I'm basing this off Jabbett's comment, and he's a dude, and the
He
only
can
reason
drive.
I
He's
sort
a
of
good driver.
yeah,
He's-
and that's what I mean. That's why I make reference to that, because he is a dude who can steer, and could probably steer any piece of shit and do well in it.
yeah.
Could put him in
So-
your 32 and he'd do well.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Like, if he has a valid point, it's just like it kind of, for me, I think he needs to expand it to say like there are some prerequisites for that sort of thing. You can't just think, oh yeah, you can't make his statement of driven one practice day and decide you're going to build a 600 horsepower car on semis and go, yeah, I'm a comp driver, I'm pro or whatever. Because the issue is, for me, is these guys are representing drifting. So
Pro.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you get
now
the
you're
crowd.
going to a totally different topic, but yeah.
You get a crowd that come and then they expect this performance, but then they're not being given it. That's why, there needs to be, like, when Jabbett says that, it kind of needs to expand on that comment, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, he doesn't though, because that's why he does what he does.
Yeah, but that's because he's doing it, not because.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's.
But that's how any.
his-
But that's how any opinion. That's how any opinion or
Yeah.
like personal feeling on something is.
That's
then
why
that's-
people
and
need to
as I said, that's-
understand it's an opinion. It's not a statement of fact. Like, this is drifting is 600 horsepower, super grippy. It's
No.
Jabbett's drifting is 600 horsepower, super grippy.
But that's one style that he really, really likes.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that's his
and that's
only.
fine. It's not his
Yeah,
only.
yeah,
but people
yeah.
sort of say, no, I'm him as well. It's like, no, you're not. You're not him.
Yeah,
You're just a guy that wants to be him,
That has
which is
a-
fine.
Yeah,
But
that has a big enough budget
you're
to
not
make
him.
it happen. But
you're not
Yeah.
Jabbett.
yeah, but that comes from a long time driving too, and starting from the beginning. And I guess that's where all this gets too easy in some ways. Where I still remember Jabbett chucking it down under the bridge at Oran Park in the early days with his SR, and that car being, I'm pretty sure it's the same chassis, still registered. So, and then that's sort of grown with him as he's gotten better. So Yeah.
Yeah, I just think people sort of take bits that they want, which makes sense because I know a lot of people do that, and then they say they sort of pick and choose the information, and it's
Yeah.
kind of you kind of need to be a bit more. I don't know how to explain it. No,
No, I get
that
what
was a
you.
bad explanation.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. It's like you can't use somebody else's personal experience to as saying that that's your own personal experience. Like there's a lot more to that story than just that small snippet of information that you're sort of seeing. You're talking like well over 10 years of driving from the very beginning, sort of building up and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I get what you're saying on that. And even Maximum Driftcast today had Jeff Jones on, and he goes, and it was just a total off the cuff comment where he's just like, guys, please stop building FD spec cars when you're starting to drive. Just drive 4 cylinders for a while. Because even he's he's not the best driver in FD, but he's like, yeah, come on, guys, like you've just got to keep it a little bit more. And fuck off, mine's not that. Mine got a little bit retarded, but it's been pulled back a little bit. So
after we've been verbally bashing you to do it.
Nah, well, no, it got pulled back because shit happened. But
I think we bullied you into it.
Yeah, but I didn't. But I haven't gone and cut the rear out of my car and moved the radiator to the boot and cut the whole front off the car just because it's undamaged. Like that stuff will happen if the car gets super crashed or anything like that. That happens as opposed to, yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, I know. Go bashing's fun sometimes.
Yeah, go bashing's perfect. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. Dude, I pranced around. I pranced around in pretty questionable outfits in front of tens of thousands of people. Like I'm comfortable with that shit. I'm okay.
Yeah, it's it's really hard, but there's appropriate.
Comfortable prancing around there.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm all right with that.
Okay.
I'm all right with some man hugs and shit.
Yeah, it's fine.
What do you?
We got Wayne in the comments, and he's saying that when Pat Gooden came out to do the event at Rally and do some driver training stuff, like he wasn't that much. He wasn't any better than our guys here, and I think that's how it is across the world. It ends up being guys who make it into your FDs and your D1 Japan and FD Japan and all that end up being the guys who can market themselves the best or have come from wealth or whatever and can afford to drive in those series, as opposed to guys who have the genuine skill. And maybe eventually that'll change. No, and I probably that came out wrong. A lot of the guys have the genuine skill, but guys like James Dean and Peter got handpicked by a crew over in, I think it's a Chicago-based business, was like, oh, we want to support and grow a drift team, and they sort of handpicked those guys to make that happen. I think basically based off the back of Peter, and that's how it worked for them. But then you look at some of the other programs, and the guys have had to sort of work their way up, and are still only barely making it through the cut because they don't have that skill level yet. They've got the budget to run the series, but they don't have the skill level of a James Dean or even like a Vaughn Gittin Jr. or something like that, who's been driving for a really long time and just been lucky to get where they have with the sport, using it as a marketing tool and turning it into a full-time job. So yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this point, but
well, your mate Kevin's come online. He's listening at the moment.
Yeah, Kevin's there.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, I hope your car, the 32 is all right after you're running into Monk. I just don't know why he's taken the V and the I out of his name.
I think it's. Anyway. What was the original thing?
Well, we're just talking about FD, and that we didn't like that track all that much, and we're saying how
Yeah.
those guys have come across here and done well, and then we'll sort of say,
Stupid white boy.
"Hey, don't call me stupid, mate. You ran into the side of a car that was trying to do a bloody U-turn, mate." I saw that, and I saw it live.
Ah.
I'm
And
wet.
he's too busy going, what the?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought out of nowhere, bloody Asian drivers worst.
Always running
He's
into
trying to-
people.
He's Chinese,
But
right?
it's
Is he Chinese?
oh, I don't know. He's Australian, isn't he?
No.
No, but where
I'm
are you
just gonna go-
from?
I'm just going to go full blown racist white person on this one. So yeah, I don't know. I thought the round was okay. There's 3 rounds to go. I think the next. Yeah, you're probably not going to like the next 3 tracks, EG. You can probably stop watching.
Are they just bowls again, like a big bank corner,
Nah,
and then a crossover,
they've
then
got-
another bank corner?
nah.
Actually,
the-
short, like only limited amount of turns is fine. It's just the
Well,
there's
yeah, you
no
can't talk about that.
throw.
You're a limited turn driver. You prefer limited turns. You just want the big throw at the start.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's like
Yeah.
where you can actually see cool shit and people actually trying. And the power is for speed, so you get more power, so you can enter quicker. Not you have more power, so you can blaze longer.
I think.
Yeah, giant.
Yeah. I think you could go back and watch a few in-car videos from Evergreen, and I think you'll see that a few guys were doing what you wanted. Like there was a flight zone into that
Yeah, but were they
into
flight
initiation, but then
Fly zone,
after that,
Did,
and
did,
then it
pretty
sort
sure
of.
did
run
they
up
get
there.
rewarded? Did they get rewarded?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the criteria was. No idea. I didn't get up early enough, or when I was up early enough, I was working. But a few of the guys were. Yeah, I don't know. I think the style of entry has changed in FD a lot this year. So yeah, I think there wasn't enough videos done from sort of the entry, and a lot of guys were using the flick for that, and then left foot braking to push the car onto the wall. So I don't know, but it is the fact that they're on throttle a really long time afterwards. But it's a different
It's-
skill level to drive on those
it's-
banks. So
Yeah.
you've got to go and watch some of the in-car videos. There's a lot of steering input to keep it up on the bank because the car wants to keep driving
Yeah.
up
It's
the bank, so you've got to keep turning it back down the bank. So I don't
it's
know.
fun to watch in a different way. So if I'm watching it for entertainment, so like them abusing tires, then that's fun. But I see it like tire abuse rather than driver skill kind of thing.
Yeah, no.
It's hard to say.
yeah,
like
I get-
I'm saying, it's not anyone can do it. Like it takes skill to do that, but the exciting part isn't there.
yeah,
So-
but a few. They're also starting to. Some of the drivers, especially who end up the higher qualifiers and are needing to, are leading first, are trying to work out how to conserve tires on their lead runs because at a few of the tracks, lead cars were just on full bake the whole track and basically had no tread left for their chase runs, which meant the chase car that could sort of, regulate its speed a little bit better without so much throttle to keep up weren't wasting so much tire, and then in the lead were just able to rocket away because they still had tire left and the guy who led first had no tire left. So yeah, I guess the sport's evolving in that way, and I don't think enough of that sort of fed through to the audience. You sort of find that out by following different drivers and listening to bits and pieces of information and piecing it together from it. But stuff like that even to me is fairly interesting.
Yeah.
Connor said
Yeah.
best thing about FD is clipping points for distance. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, okay. I think he means like the hash marks on the ground to sort of let you know how close somebody was to the clipping points. And yeah, I think things like that are actually pretty useful. But I think for say DCA Mount Gambier, that doesn't really matter because there's no inside clips at all. So it just depends on how you've laid out the course. And Yeah, I don't know. This year for me, FD's been. I've liked the change in direction. It feels, after doing a season of DCA, it feels like the sport's headed almost the DCA direction in general. You know, not talking your high tread wear, low powered cars sort of being competitive, but more that there's just a little bit more freedom to drive the way you want to drive and open up as much as you can for a good chase run because the drivers are expected to do a good lead run. So I've liked it from that side. I haven't watched any of the rounds and been like, oh, this is pissing me off because so and so is being a dick or whatever, trying to cut people off or doing funky stuff. I think the officiating has gotten much better. But yeah, now it's just a matter of managing the tracks and seeing if they can do more interesting things with their locations. But it's a new round at St. Louis coming up. They haven't been there before, but it looks like it might be a big high speed sort of. The track sort of looks like it sort of waves in on itself and then comes into like a big bowly hairpin. It's a road course, but it just doesn't have enough corners, so that'll be interesting to see what they try and do with that. But it's going to be similar to what Texas used to be like years ago. And then Texas isn't too bad, and then Irwindale is big bake, so we'll wait and see. But hopefully,
you're talking about courses that I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just looking it up now.
yeah, Irwindale's a road course as well. So there's only one more banked bowl course to go to. And
Do you know
Irwindale,
why they don't do courses like I guess one of the popular ones is Park, is it? Where it's like second or third gear.
I think it's
That's
second,
right.
like second and first, and they go there after. I think they would have been there today, or earlier. Yeah, over the weekend, because normally what happens after the Seattle round is they head down to Park and do an event down there. So some of the pros will take their cars out there. It just doesn't. Well, number one, Park from a
Well, I'm
logistics
not
point
saying
of view.
that specifically, but like
No,
that
no,
sort
no,
of
no, no. I
style
know
of
what you're saying,
courses, yeah.
but but when listen to a bunch of Maximum Drift casts where they've talked to the guys that run FD, and basically when they're looking for a venue, they've got to be able to make sure that they can support the amount of. They have a pit area that's suitable for the number of cars and transporters that they have, and they
Yeah.
want it to be sealed. Like it needs to be
Yeah.
a sealed surface, and then to get a certain amount of crowd in as well.
Well, this is you're talking about America. It has 300 million people, and the area is larger than Australia. And so
Yeah.
they should be like a facility besides a NASCAR
Bowl
bowl.
circuit.
Yeah.
But there really isn't, because it hasn't been built for that. Like their whole racing scene was based around oval racing. Even half their IndyCar season is done on ovals, and then a lot of their IndyCars rounds that aren't on ovals are either part ovals that go onto a road course section within that oval, or pure V8 supercar style drop-in street courses. So things like Detroit, Boston, all that are street courses around the streets of a city. So, and that's why they use like Long Beach, for example, is they are able to use that for the drift event the weekend before, but that's set up for IndyCar, and FD is able to piggyback off that event. So that's where they try and do that sort of stuff. So
Surely they must have other circuits.
yeah, they're places all over the place, but again, like they try and look at where their drift demographic is, and then what sort of crowd they'll get in and all that sort of stuff. Like where they ran a round of one of the Grid Life events over in the west of Michigan. I knew the track fairly well because when I was living over there, and it's a great location, but the problem is it's not a great socioeconomic area. So yeah, for something like Grid Life, where a lot of people are traveling to come and drive that event, it works. But would you pull a whole lot of spectators for it? If those people weren't driving, probably not. It's the drag racing and it's drag and stock car racing through and through in that region of the country. So, you've got to sort of hunt for your demographic as much as you put on a better show for the live stream from a, getting people through the door type situation. It just doesn't happen. So, Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like they're on top of all that sort of stuff, and even they spoke about trying to do something same as D1 NZ with an indoor, indoor arena, or not an indoor necessarily, but just a closed-in arena similar to what that round of Drift GP and Europe use. But just the cost of running those events is just super high, and you're paying huge hiring fees for some of those venues. And I think people forget when you hire out some of those venues that you're paying the days that you're bumping in, you're bumping out. So you can't. They even if there's no event happening, they'll charge you just for the number of days you have shit in those venues. So to set up some of that stuff too then gets really hard. So they sort of go to places that are easy. Yeah, and the last round this year was supposed to be in Vegas because Irwindale was supposed to get shut down for the 15th million time.
Yeah.
And because they were going to end up doing, I think they needed to retar some areas of Vegas Motor Speedway or their smaller track or whatever, and it was basically going to just be an Irwindale style or something similar to that venue anyway. So they were like, oh, why spend the money doing that? Because we don't make that much money off the series. Let's just take it back to what we already know. So
You really love FD, don't you, Greg?
no, I don't know. It's just something that I've followed, and I don't think it's the perfect form of drifting, but it's just it's interesting. You watch it for what it is. It's like V8 supercars isn't the only form of race driving. IndyCar interests me as well, all that sort of stuff. But each is what it is for what it is. I can't stand Formula One. I think it's shit because you think the FD
Oh,
is.
you just made some enemies that are gonna.
No, that's
back you
all right.
now.
That's all right. Because I sort of look at it and think, yeah, high tech FD. Yeah, a lot of guys with the bigger budgets are doing really, really well, but it's still there's a lot of variables where you're talking in Formula One millions and millions of dollars in comparison to other teams being spent, and it's just gotten retarded to the point where the racing's not even any good to watch. So why the hell would you even watch it? Like, yeah, oh, so and so. The only reason that they won't win is because their motor shit itself. Like that's boring as hell to watch. Like, so yeah, not into that. But all these other forms, I'm pretty into. So
Wayne did bring up a good point. Why don't they use the track that they did Super Drift with Naoki on? With Naoki, because that had a lot of people there.
I'm guessing you don't watch any of Adam LZ's vlogs, really. He showed a
except for when Nick comes over and keeps putting it on.
Nick's got like a signed T-shirt and stuff. So
yeah, he got on. I think pretty sure he got onto the warehouse sale as well.
They showed him driving into Grange, and yeah, that's not a spectator-friendly venue. Again, if you don't know somebody or you really, really love it, if you're just a regular punter who's like, oh, what can I do this weekend? I'll go watch whatever. It's not somewhere you just go, oh yeah, let's just make a quick trip out there to watch whatever. It's like a shitty ass dirt road, near impossible to get down into, and yeah, there's not proper, sort of facilities for teams to set up properly. So yeah, I'm sure in the right place that they would probably do it, but it's just not feasible.
Okay, just reading through the comments, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Ken's like you, where he hasn't watched much FD of late, because a lot of that's changed since James, Dan, and Peter have been driving, because that's what's excited people again. So they've brought that, a more traditional style and more aggressive style of driving, and so everybody's sort of started to head that direction a little bit more again. So yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see. But I agree with you that I wish they would do more with their venues, to make it, I guess, just more door-on-door stuff. Like, yeah, the slower stuff, like when they drive Jersey and all that, ends up being the better driving because, it is slower and they're more on-door with each other.
I just want a more, what I think is a drifting course rather than a power
What would you call what was D1 this weekend? That was a power skid course as well, right? You would call that a power skid course?
Not really. The
Mm,
first corner, yeah, but like once they get the speed up, they're flicking in and
yeah, and they're
going
slowing down
a
too.
small apex. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they're using they're building up speed, and then they're using the
For-
speed to drift.
for a reinitiation, yeah.
Well, they're
yeah.
expending the speed to make the drift cooler or make to drift rather than using increasing speed as you're sideways, which is yeah, it's I'm not saying it's like
That all comes down to the radius
easy,
of the
but
corner in which you're driving, though, too.
yeah, but it's still like it was not a very good course. I really hate when they have gaps like that. Like I hated it when they had ADGP, no, ADGP, Drift Australia, when they had that at Malala, when they had the S's, and then there was a big gap, and then they had
Yeah.
the turn
Reinitiation.
1, 2, yeah, and then pretty much it was a drag race, even though it wasn't a drag race. But as soon as you got separated or gapped there, then that's it. It's like you lost. So it's a drag race.
Yeah, but I think the sport's sort of come a long way since then, and we'd probably make the same stupid mistake here, and some series would probably
Yeah,
let that happen
you say
because that's
that,
what people are used. No, because that's what people are used to. But I think
but
some of
they
the guys who are running these series around the world now know that the excitement within competition is a good tandem run.
yeah,
Like
but
that's what people want to see now.
if you
Like
say people have gone a long way, why do they bring this course back? Like why do they use scuba and they put a gap in the course? It doesn't make sense. Like that means they're going backwards rather than using a different section. Because the last time they
But do you think the drivers are putting up a fight to it too? Like, D1 could be a hugely successful series by going to Meihan, Byoku, all those sort of tracks. But when you're talking 1,000 horsepower cars on 265 or bigger, FD, we're talking 295, 50 profile tires, massive amounts of grip. Do these guys they don't really want to be taking their cars to these little circuits?
no,
Where
but
D1 would be super exciting on some of those little circuits.
yeah, I don't know. They're pretty. So what I think with the Japanese drivers is they've gone through that sort of progression. So they went from being beginner drivers on like a beginner course or like a slow course, and they actually get faster and faster, and that's why they're capable of doing a fast course. I just don't like. It's not the driver's fault. I think it's. I don't understand. Well, I don't know anyone that's in D1, so I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
What their thoughts are. If they think it's dumb or if they like it. It's just my opinion about what I look at the course. I just don't like how it doesn't. It's not fluid. It doesn't flow. It looks, as a spectator, really boring on the live stream. Even though I don't pay any money, it's just my feedback, my criticism that it's not entertaining. So what I want them to do is take the criticisms I have and then work something to make it better, because I think a lot of other people have the same view, or at least consider it anyway. Maybe there is a reason why they can't use the other course. Maybe they can't run backwards anymore because of the big off that they had. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I think I guess you're trying to retrofit a sport into venues that were never intended for that sport either. Like, I guess that's why, Road Atlanta works for FD really well, because that little keyhole section was put in purely to run a drift event there. And it sort of is almost a purpose-built drift course in some way, shape, or form, where D1 running at Tsukuba and running at places like Autopolis and Fuji on the big circuit, like D1 moving just down the hill onto Fuji, not onto the drift park, but onto what's the other one that's down there? At Fuji. There's the long, skinny, sort of skid panty Fuji drift park, and then there's another little circuit that's got a couple of good corners that it's used for drifting a lot. That's a pretty good sized track for drifting, and it's not, it's not the retarded speed of the big circuit, but it's not the slow speed of, running at a Mahan or something like that. And you still got all your facilities and all that sort of stuff there, but they choose not to run on that. But I guess they're trying to put it on these events on these pedestals, as Ken said, in line with your F1s and your Indy cars and all that. So you're trying to use the best of the best venues, but you're still trying to retrofit a sport that wasn't designed for that into that venue. So I guess that's probably more so where the issue ends up laying more than anything else.
Yeah, I think the other thing as a spectator by video is the filming that D1 did. I felt was more exciting, previously, because I think they've changed now. So they were very low to the ground and sort of followed the cars very low and very tight, because recently I think they changed to like a view where you can actually see the cars completely framed in the screen, and it's kind of like a top-down view, not sort of like a ground level view. So there's it's the excitement's changed because of how it looks visually, but then apparently the Americans like that sort of top-down view. Well, it's not exactly top-down, but like elevated view.
Oh yeah, but I don't think it's the Americans like that. I think that's just what they used to cut down on the number of cameras, and then they've sort of stuck to that view. But I agree. But I agree with you on, like, the cinematography has a lot to do with how you perceive, an event, and you can watch, V8 supercars or F1 on TV, and depending on which camera they're using, it can look really slow or it can look really, really fast.
Yeah.
A panning camera in a lot of ways does very little to show car speed, or speed in general. Whereas if you set a camera up with cars or whatever it is coming towards you, it's always going to look a whole lot faster. Or
Yeah.
They do that with NASCAR.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of have that camera set up on the wall and all the cars zooming past, and then you realize how fast they're going. But when they're, you're on your massive, couple of mile long bowls of NASCAR, and they're panning down the back straight, the cars could be going 3k an hour, they could be going 600k an hour. You can't tell the difference because the camera's traveling at the same speed as the people, or as the cars, or whatever, whatever's doing. But then as soon as it stays still, it's that little bit faster. V8 does it as well with the sort of the cameras that are in the curbing and all that. And that's why I said it'd be interesting to see what the post-production type stuff from some of these,
From FD.
like your FDs and all that would be like. I don't know if D1 does much post-production anymore. I've never really followed it that closely. And FD, I just know that they do their post-production stuff because of living over there. But some of their post-production stuff was pretty shit. It really is a dumbed down. It's a dumbed down consumer. It's a dumbed down consumer version. Like it's to get the message across really quickly. It's a 30-minute show. It's for your people who are watching between football games on a Sunday afternoon, where your diehards are going to sit and watch your full live stream or whatever. So, that's what it is. Where I think D1 ends up being a little bit more comprehensive, probably through the DVDs and stuff, the way they used to do it.
It's not that different from the live. It's the same. It was the same cameras, but I think they add and remove things. So the crew and the video, So, but just going back to the point about referencing the change between like the styles. I only base it from, from when FIA did their drifting event in Odaiba, and there was all those people commenting on the live stream about how they didn't like the style of filming where it was very tightly cropped, or like even so you'd only see certain sections.
Oh,
of the car.
Yeah.
And so then it was sort of that information was passed through to the promoting or body, whatever, who was doing the promotion for that, the video,
the production
and then
company, I guess you'd say,
which is the same as D1.
Yeah.
And they changed.
Yeah, I can understand because you're trying to get as much information as you can on that run because, everything happens within, that 30 to 40 second time period that run actually lasts. So you want to be able to see as much as you can in sacrifice of the beauty shots. I guess the information is more key.
Maybe, but people don't get the information properly. They still understand, so...
Yeah, but people want to see as much as they can so they can make their own presumptions. And then either get really excited when it goes the way they thought it was going to, or get really upset when it doesn't go the way they thought it. But that's that's part of the allure of a judge sport when you're watching the competition. Is that's the way it is. It's always you're either gonna be happy with the decision or hate the decision, and people look at it with rose-colored glasses, or they'll look at it in different ways. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't personally like the super tight camera views to be able to, I want to be able to see more and see them set up for the next corner and all that sort of stuff. So,
did you ever watch the what was his name? The black 180 at Nikko, Koguchi's black 180 at Nikko. Not. It's like this Initial D thing. I'm guessing you haven't finished watching Initial D yet.
I like how you find any segue just to be like, hey, how can I put shit on Greg?
So you haven't watched it. Anyway, so it's hard to explain to you, but they're the really tightly cropped shots, and that was cool. Like everyone loved that video. Like they got shared so much.
But again, that's a post-production video with different intent in mind. That's why I'm saying having some alternative cameras that aren't used, say, for the live stream, but are used for post-production stuff.
Yeah, but you can do it live.
Yeah, you could, and it could be based in part of your replays and stuff like that. Like on the replay of the run, you could use that shot. So during the run, everybody's getting all the information that they can possibly get. But then for the replays, you've got a few alternative cameras. But then the judges are referring back to those cameras, and that's the camera angle that the judges need, or those camera angles being as wide as possible is what the judges need to be able to see and make calls based off stuff that they've missed during a run. Not everybody's full radar eyes like you, mate. So.
I wish.
I
would like
your criticism.
I'd probably be about the same actually. But sometimes I do wish there's replays, and I mean that's why we have multiple judges, because it's just
because each opinion's wrong.
No, I do get help from them just to make sure that what I saw was correct, or like if they picked up something that I didn't, and then it's a lot of things that are happening that you have to pay attention to. So it's just interesting.
So would you say your unhappiness with the two events this weekend was just more the lack of exciting driving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't entertained pretty much.
Yeah.
So it didn't take my attention.
Yeah. So there just wasn't enough exciting parts to the runs or the way the courses were set up to gauge your interest. Yeah,
well, I mean it's drifting, so I do watch it, but I think something else came up, and I think I don't know what happened, but actually I had to go rescue someone in a Commodore, broken down Commodore. So.
I went couch shopping.
It wasn't me.
No. So I had the intention of coming back and watching the live stream, but I think I only got a little bit through it, and then just sort of, how like you're not interested in something, so you just, even if it's playing, you just sort of play through and you don't actually absorb any information, that sort of thing.
Yeah. The thing I don't like with D1 is them running quali and then battles on the same day. That's too much for me. Because I think that's how they ran it. Is that how they ran it on the weekend? I'm pretty sure. I felt like pro qualifying for D1 was like there's practice on Saturday or something, and then the whole show was done on Sunday or something.
I'm not sure because of the time difference.
I think they had unseeded drivers the day before.
Yeah, okay.
Morning of, they had the top 16 qualifying, and then battles
Yeah.
in the afternoon.
It just drags out too long. FD can already drag out for way too long, and then you sort of got the same timeline on D1, and it just ends up dragging for way too long. I love drift, but yeah, if I switch it on being like, oh yeah, there's drifting on now, and it ends up being quali, and then there being battles after that, if I've sat and watched a bit of qualifying, I'll be over it by the time the battles actually start. So unless I'm following it religiously, like FD I follow because it's easy to follow. It's in a language I understand. I followed it for long enough. Well, no,
It
but
has to be
it's
easy to follow so Americans can follow it.
yeah, but
Yes.
this is my point. Like, when you're following a sport, you want it to be as basic as possible to be able to follow as much of it as you can. So, for me, that's the easy way to sort of go about. And I've been following it for longer, so I sort of know a little bit more ins and outs of it. And so it's hard to look at it from an outsider's perspective as somebody who's not followed it fairly religiously. Wayne's asking if I watch BDC. Yeah, watch a little bit, but the timeline sort of falls a little bit shitty for me. If I don't watch any of the events live, I find it hard to actually go back and watch. I think some of the driving and stuff is really cool in both IDC and BDC. But again, I watch a little bit of the vlogs and stuff from the Driftworks guys and stuff like that, and it's cool to see how they go. But again, it's just how motivated I am to find the information at hand, because I prefer to know more of the backstory on what's going down rather than just seeing, the runs and all that sort of stuff happen. Because somebody breaks and then you're like, oh yeah, they're broken, and that's all you ever know about it. Where when you know a little bit more of the backstory, the whole thing's a little bit more interesting, I guess. I watch V8 Supercars. I watch the whole weekend because you get information fed to you the whole weekend about what's actually happening with people's cars and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing the show, I guess, with FD, IDC, BDC, whatever, it's not as entertaining as a show that D1 puts on. So, but
Really?
I guess you wouldn't understand because it's in Japanese.
Yeah.
But the show, as in like the commentators and everything involved, I find the commentators more entertaining than, because FD, if I feel like who's the commentator, they
Jared.
have.
Jared.
Yeah, so all he says is make some noise, and that's every second sentence. Is make some noise,
No,
make some noise,
I like
give it up
that
for,
well.
make some noise, and that's it. It's just all. And even when he went to Goodwood, I think he said make some noise 2 times in a row for some reason. I don't even know why.
Yeah, that's fair, but I don't know. I think all series have gotten pretty good at trying to give as much information as they can.
Make some noise. That's like. That's,
No, not that stuff,
Yeah.
but the fact that
That's American level information.
yeah.
But I meant getting judges on microphones and
Yeah, I
doing all
like that.
sort of
I
stuff.
like that with IDC, and then they do that a little bit with FD. And
Yeah, they do.
who's the Canadian guy, Ryan
Ryan
the-
Lontaine.
Montaigne? Yeah, so he gives an
Yeah.
explanation.
Well,
even
only when the
though-
call is a little bit questionable.
Yeah, so that's good. And I like those bits. I didn't like some of his other comments when he comments in other competitions.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it'd be considering.
because-
Yeah, I know you make reference to that interview a lot. That it was on Maximum Driftcast. He didn't like based around the FIA event, but
Yeah,
I
it
think
just to me showed
he's-
the typical ignorance.
yeah. But I think he's done a lot more events lately. He's been over to a couple of rounds of the Russian Championship and a few things like that. It'd be really interesting to listen to another interview now after him doing a little bit more and seeing a few other changes take place. Because again, most people are fairly stubborn with their views. You being one of those people, me being another one, and Jake's just a wanker.
Yep.
And yeah, you see people's opinions and the way they view things change, even though they might not
Yeah.
acknowledge that it's changed because you're the person. And no, I haven't changed my opinion, but it's like, yeah, your opinion has changed, but you just don't realize that it has. And yeah, it'd be interesting to hear another one of those chats now. Do we even know if that FIA thing's happening
I
again?
don't know. I don't know. I hope it does. I think it was good
What
to get
has-
so many different countries on, and it was cool. I just wish they had Australia involved.
Yeah, it's got to happen again because trying something once is, the stupidest thing to.
Ken said it is.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
Kevin said it is.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin said it. Kevin said it is. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, I hope
it was
Kevin's
actually announced-
entering.
Oh, he's
Is
got
Kevin-
an entry form.
Yes.
$3,500 to enter, and he's got a fucked up skyline now, so that's going to be hard for him.
Yeah. Anyway,
It says
Yeah.
it's just been announced that entry applications for 2018 FIA IDC is now open. Who do you want to see drifting in IDC? And by IDC they mean Intercontinental Drift Cup, not Irish Drift Championship. Would you let us know who your favourite driver is in the comments? And then there's just some other stuff. So
there's so many drivers I want to see from Australia go over there. Or at least I don't even know how you'd figure out which drivers should go because they're yeah. I couldn't even pick two. I wish they could get.
I
There
could
was a
pick
way-
two. I want to see the real 137 Dry Van go over. That'd be
Not
cool to
fast
see him
enough.
there.
Nah.
But that's if he knows. But he'd have to find fourth gear potentially for wherever they run. So that might be hard for him.
I think he has to watch the Mez video of Kiyo Matsuri of what to do in the lead up to a corner.
What's that? You need
Keep
to
your
explain
fucking
that.
foot flat. No, I'd say. I don't know if you can see this. I'll move
What
it out.
is it?
See
Because this is
thing
also
here?
partly audio as well, Jake. Just so you know.
Just keep it flat. It's a pedal on my G27 because I'm a nerd. It's got a keep pin all the way.
What? Now Joy's getting offended at me, mate. I didn't say anything. I appreciate your help getting my car started. It's to these two guys giving you shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're gonna get
From a-
bashed next time.
Nah, that's all right.
Yeah.
If we were to
threats
send
of,
two Aussie drivers,
physical violence will come through very shortly, as well as anyone else that are friends with us.
if there was two drivers that we were to send over, I would probably want to. Luke would have to be one of them. And
Really? Why Luke?
because I think it would just either be funny to see him. I just want to see him go up against. I would hope someone like James Dean or that's going to go to the event. So it'd be good to see him run against those guys and have to put his money where his mouth is. Hopefully, he's listening.
Yeah, Luke is one
And
of my
Luke is
picks.
driving his car. He's
What's
driving
that?
his car with someone else's car.
If his Vert S13 ends up being FD legal, FIA legal, which it's built to cam spec, so I'd hope so. Then even if he took the Vert over, it would be pretty cool. I think that would be super competitive, especially if they run at Odaiba or something like that. Again, it's not a retardedly high speed course. You've just got to make sure you've got a car that can turn big enough tires to be competitive. Yeah.
And who else? So you've got Luke.
Another local. I would like to see somebody like a Matt Harvey be able to take his own car over. I think that would be cool. But
I couldn't pick two.
Oh,
I'd have like a handful. I think I'm probably at the moment. I think I'm about 10 people, maybe more.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see Yates go over with his car, and just see where he actually stands. Yeah, sort of internationally in his car on a different course. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that his car is still pretty flashed up from. Yeah, it's a good looking car. It's got cool wheels, all that sort of stuff. So it'd be cool to see that.
Cool wheels.
That go.
I really don't like his wheels. I can understand why he has them, but yeah.
But yeah, well, the fronts are a bit dicky because it's Wisefab, so they're they're made for the Wisefab. But on the rear, they look cool, good dish, all that sort of stuff. So, I think they're the two dudes that I'd like to go, of course, like Wayne saying, like Stewie Bryant and all that. Yeah, if they were putting cars that and given enough time with cars that were competitive in that sort of series, guys like that would be super. Yeah, would be good to see over there. So fuck off, Kevin.
No, Ken. So yeah, Ken would be one of my drivers as well as I never really picked Stewie. But yeah, Matt Harvey as well is pretty cool. In his car would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm talking dudes going over in their own cars, not in, anything else that crazy. Because, yeah, you want to see guys be competitive because they're in their regular cars, not. Luke could jump in anything and drive it, be fine. But a lot of our other guys have.
Really annoying how Luke can do that.
Yeah, but a lot of our other local guys are used to whatever chassis they're used to driving. Stewie would be fairly versatile, but shoving him on big semis, I'm sure he'd be okay. But
Blake as well, but driving someone else's car.
Blake driving somebody else's car?
Yeah, he could not
probably
drive his car. No. He could drive his car, but I don't think he'll actually be running right. And then he'll probably jump into someone else's car anyway.
Yeah, I want to see what Sean's done to it. If they've had make-out sessions in the shed, or if it's actually a proper built car now.
Well, we asked him for updates on it. He's like, yeah, it's gone good. And that's all we got from him. So, we'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens with the International Drift Cup. I'm guessing, I think it ended up being awarded to D1 for a couple of years, right? And then after that it's back up for tender or something?
I thought last year was a once-off to begin with because they rushed it for some reason. I don't know enough. It seemed like a rush to me.
Because the FIA page is still all D1 stuff, so it seems like it's still being run under the same promotions company who owns the Facebook page and all that sort of stuff. So it looks like it'll be done under D1. But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. So
Wayne's saying that he judges with Blake and that Blake's lazy, and if Blake's working on it on his own, it won't have done anything. Yeah, no, it's okay, Wayne. There's somebody else. Well, there is somebody else working on that car religiously. So yeah, you can't leave anything to Blake. He'll just drive somebody else's car.
Yeah.
Although Sean may or may not have a confirmed girlfriend, so I don't know if it's been getting the time that it deserves. Well, Blake's been getting the time he deserves from Sean, so.
So what you're saying is we should put a hit out on the girl?
Maybe. Apparently she's nice, so.
But did she build race cars?
Sean's car hasn't moved since Blake said he was going to help him, but it's still in pieces from hitting the wall. Front bar's back together, though, so that's all right.
That's a start.
Doesn't help that it's on my car, but
that's fair. So I don't know. Neither of the rounds super excited me either this weekend. I just followed FD to see where it sort of shook up the championship. I think that was what was more exciting for me than the driving. I actually thought the final battle was boring.
I didn't even get that far, so I can't even comment about it. It's really bad. I think I should actually.
It was just super safe. Like it was just one of those safe runs. Like there was a bit of a gap by both cars coming through the bank, and then guys could have sort of let out the clutch a little bit earlier to sort of dive up on each other on the two slower corners, but didn't really. I thought, when Peter ran into the side of James's car in the top four like 5 times around the bank, he sort of did it because he knew he had fucked up in his lead run first, so he sort of went a little bit more crazy in the chase. And I guess when you're talking about a championship, that stuff starts to become important, so people tend to drive to that stuff as well. So yeah, you'll never get your most exciting driving from that unless it's somebody who's got nothing to lose, sort of like Peter was after a mistake. So yeah, I don't know where. Do you know where D1's headed next?
No, I just know FD Japan's on this weekend.
Oh yeah, and we've our fan favorite Matty Hill has broken his foot
45 places.
looking after his buddy two brothers, missile car or whatever the hell. And then Warwick for troll of the year, he's clearly learnt off the cursed boys. Put up a post saying that he's got the call up to be allowed to drive Maddie's car, but a lot of people comment on it like that was actually happening. But I hate to let people know that Warwick won't be driving that car. Plus, he'd have to petition in and do all sorts of stuff to get into FD in Japan. So, even though I don't think he'd actually do that badly over there.
I think, well, as history shows, the brothers do better in each other's cars anyway. So yeah. So Warwick will actually probably kill it in Matt's car
if he was allowed to.
He might become the number one brother again.
He already is.
Yeah, I think from the last we haven't seen any sort of update videos of the Hill brothers in a while.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. This probably on hold now that bloody Matt went and destroyed his foot. But Warwick, you're here number one, mate. That's all that counts.
I don't think he's watching.
He sometimes watches. Oh, he's in Japan though.
So, yeah, okay. They have internet there, but
I understand that they have internet.
I would be doing other things besides watching a
couple of few dickheads from Australia talking about drifting.
Yeah, if I was in Japan,
yeah.
They had their a promotion day or something today.
Yeah, for their new business.
School. Yeah,
I really hope, considering how professional that looks, I really hope. At first, when I saw it, when I first saw their concept, I was like, oh, they'll probably try and do something with it. But I was like, oh, it'll probably just be sort of, hey, sure, we're just going to drive as a group for fun. But it looks like they've done it as a proper drift school setup. Cars have proper liveries, all that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
I hope it becomes, now that, as you guys have told me from your first time going to Japan, and then these guys, and now this time it's getting more and more expensive to go there. If this can become sort of a cheaper alternative for a quick turnaround to be able to go over and get the experience on an easier and sort of cheaper.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that for me.
Yeah.
But if that, if it can give people that taste, I hope it takes off for them, because and I think Frederick Osbo was driving with them today, which is pretty cool experience, really. So.
Crazy. I wish I could just drift.
Fly over
all around the world, yeah.
Well, you're a free drift tutor, so maybe you should have hit them up.
No. I pay people, so yeah, I pay to actually tutor them. So yeah, no, I'll pay to fly over there to do tutoring. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Get to drive with Frederick. Yeah, and get to drive with Frederick Osbo and stuff. That'd be cool.
No, I'm just doing the tutoring.
Pay to drive with them.
Yeah, that's all right. As long as he's getting to drive with him, it's okay.
Is it past your bedtime, is it, Greg?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just fucking exhausted, mate. I'm always tired at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish I could just go drifting, though. It's killing me. There's no figure 8 events for ages.
What's wrong with your car?
There's nothing wrong with my car. Well, no, I need to get that thing up still. No, I'm not coming to Canberra, and I have to. Yeah, nah, that's not happening.
Well, you have to come to Canberra.
Not the sort of drifting that I'm talking about currently.
I'm sure some of the cursed guys can help you out with a spot.
That's still far. I just want to be able to go out and just have a play around and get used to my car again. Because I don't know.
Go play at Bamford's home spot.
Around the corner. Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I'm sure you could work something out in your little back alleyway.
I can just do a skid down the back. That's about all I can do.
No, you can use the Commodore. Like the Hoonigan thing.
You use the Commodore. I'm not using the Commodore. You say this every time. I'm not using the Commodore.
Why not?
Because it's... Fuck that.
You are my Falcon.
Yeah, but you're special and you can drive.
No, I couldn't. have to learn
No, I
somewhere. You just have to
couldn't.
keep. You just have to keep
No, I
practicing.
couldn't.
Like, if you're shit like me, then you've got to practice a lot.
I do. I've been practicing with Jake on a set of Corsa, mate.
That's not a real car. Actually, I got a Assetto Corsa through a website that sells Steam keys. So I think I got the Assetto Corsa Global and
do you have a
the Jetpack for $12, I think, at the moment.
But do you have a steering wheel?
No, I don't. So I'm still waiting for that because you're finding me one for $50. Is that right?
Me? I didn't say I was going to find one.
I think that
Somebody else
was.
said they were going to find.
I'm pretty sure that was what we spoke about on.
But I don't think it was me who
show.
said $50. Somebody else commented. I think $50, like Jake or somebody commented $50.
I think it was Brent.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that they found theirs for $50 or something.
So
Boom got one for free this week. So.
Once Greg gets me. Yeah, it's a G2A. That's it. I remember. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty good.
But it'd be good to see you come on there, mate. But we've got Pembry trying to get involved, but he sounds like he's struggling. So
yeah, I cannot feel the car like the way. Apparently, this is one of the explanations that Christy Jager gave to someone. Was it you, Jake?
What?
That there's the reason why people struggle with using Assetto Corsa is because they drive by feel rather than drive by like a technical aspect.
Yeah, they have to drive with their butt. They need to feel the G-forces of what the car's doing and be able to react to that. They can't just react from, say, just a steering wheel and trying to look where you're going whilst drifting. They need to actually feel the motions and feel when it bites when you're accelerating or braking to be able to react. Whereas I don't need that.
yeah, me either.
Okay.
So apparently the G2A stuff is easy to buy stolen keys, but they have some sort of insurance.
You can pay a little. Yeah, you can pay a little bit more when you go on there to buy your keys to ensure that if your key doesn't work, that you get your money back.
Yeah, my key worked, but I think it's more that can people claim their keys back or something like that? I don't know.
Nah, I don't know, because once you've unlocked a key, I think on Steam, I think that's it. Like, it just you have it in your library forever. I don't know. I've used ones on G2A and never had a drama. So
Yeah.
most of the time, what ends up happening is if these companies are able to buy a bulk load of them, and that's when then they only make like $1 or something when they're selling them. So yeah, Wayne's asking because he's backstuffed and if anybody's looking for a cheap turnkey drift car, there's a LS 180 for sale. I think just up I think you're up towards the Central Coast somewhere.
Central Coast, I think.
In New South Wales. So
set up.
So yeah, you can get a pretty cheap sim setup by doing Assetto Corsa for what's Assetto Corsa worth? $12, like EG said. All the mods are free online and just a fairly cheap Logitech steering wheel. So
I think it was like $4 for the Jetpack and $8 for the game.
Yeah, I think even on Steam it's pretty cheap, just in general
$20.
anyway. So
yeah, I kind of wish I bought it. I think they had a half price or something a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So should have bought. Oh, it's $20 US, I think it was, and then it was $10 US when it was on sale.
Yeah, if anybody plays who listens, hit us up, because Jake and I play a little bit, and there's a group of us from sort of around New South Wales who get on and drive a fair bit together at the moment. So let us know, because yeah, it's generally a pretty fun group. You guys are doing a group buy on your little headsets too, right? Are you sort of opening that up to other people if they're happy to jump in and try and get in on the fun?
They can buy my old one.
that works too.
I'm not really sure how far it. I'm not sure how far it extends. So the deal that I've got at the moment is for 5 dual packs.
Yeah.
And so far, we've got all those spots filled.
But yeah, so what have you ended up going? So it's what are they called?
It's the Senna 30K.
And they're basically a motorcycle communication headset, and these are the ones that end up with unlimited number of call-ins, right, within a certain distance of each other.
Pretty much, yeah.
So next Revo Day, everybody should have Senna 30Ks, and pretty much everybody on track can be yelling at each other with no idea who's actually on the headset, telling each other to piss off and get out of the way, which sounds like an absolute shitload of fun.
I don't know. I think the main reason we're going to the 30K is so that we can talk to more people in Japan. With the SMH10 that we had at Wakefield with 4 people, it was still just as fun. It's just our group was a little bit too big to be able to keep them.
Yeah. But I think, it's
for a cheaper option, because they were what, $200 each compared to retail for the
I
one
think I
we're
looked them
looking
up.
at was $400.
Yeah, I think I looked up. It was like you can buy them online for a twin pack for like $700 or something, off some sites. So yeah, you're looking at $350 at least a headset if you go in and buy a twin pack with your friend. But I don't know, it'd be interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to being able to use it with you guys when you're all back and we're at an event together, and hopefully
And when you're in the pit, we're driving.
yeah. Well, everybody's gonna be like, "Why are you wearing your helmet around the pits?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, I'll get to talk to my friends who are still out on track and feel like I'm out there." But yeah, hopefully it's a trend that can sort of take off, because it's probably not a bad way of getting some practice days happening. And
yeah, we've been trying to figure out a way to communicate, because that's one of the biggest things is you get to the start, you do a run and you sort of want to have a chat to say, can we try this out, or do this differently. It's really hard to communicate that just using hand signals and things. Even like positions, like saying you're first, I'm second, he's third, or whatever. Then it's it
always
gets
just turns into anal. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and Jai needs a set so you can tell him to grab 4th. Or you can hear if he's actually grabbed it. Hey, in your video, you grabbed 4th a bunch of times, right? Was I watching it right?
Yeah, I was
a couple of times. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the only time I was in 3rd, I don't think it was actually on there. I did. I can't remember. It was because I watched my video. When I screwed up, I have to go into 3rd. But then sometimes the car speed's so slow that I actually don't get any angle. So,
yeah, I saw a couple of them where you've grabbed it and then the car in front's like totally shit. One run, my favorite run was the one that you got like super upset that you did shit. But I was like, the car in front of you was doing like 30k an hour. What are you getting upset about? The other guy totally messed up your run, and you're like
but
mad
it doesn't matter.
You're mad at yourself.
You should be able to drift slowly. Like, that's the thing, is it's not this thing where like, you have to be.
But you don't have a huge amount of power and you're in 4th gear. That's
not
going to back you up.
No, it doesn't matter. Like, you should be able to. No, you should be able to. You can't just say, "Oh, I can't." This course is too slow, so I can't drift. It's like, no, if you're good, you can actually get it to go. And like, there are limitations, but that wasn't. In that occasion, you could definitely keep the car sideways. I was just being retarded.
It didn't look like it.
No, I could. I definitely could. Like, if I do that again, I will definitely keep the car sideways when it's going that slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll drive slow in front of you,
anyway.
or broken in front of you.
Yeah, it's difficult, but that's the idea of it, is you're meant to be able to adjust. So that's why people left foot brake, or they do something, or whatever, like clutch or anything. Like, it's you can't just say, "Oh, he's going too slow." Like, there is a point where it is too slow for you to do anything, but that wasn't at that point yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think. I thought your reaction was an overreaction for the situation. I didn't think it was your fault. So
lucky you didn't see some of my reactions.
Some of my GoPro footage was pretty. Yeah, I was a bit of a dick because I got a bit upset at some people just doing dumb shit in front of me. So, yeah, I was like, fuck, I've turned into one of those people. I'm not even that
That's
good.
pretty much me, except Edge, you could hear me because we had the headsets and he was just laughing at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Like, so with these headsets, yeah, it's infinite amount. Theoretically, I think
Within 2K or something of each other, it says
within the
online.
range, yeah. So it's 2K. I think they say it's 1 mile because it's an American brand, and then, but
No,
it's pretty
there was
much,
stuff I read on said 2K, and then
yeah,
over 5K, it's a little bit more. Once you're outside that 2K radius, it's a little bit more
No.
limited.
That's
from
what it
all
says.
accounts, you know, probably get max 600 meters.
Yeah, fair enough.
I
But
don't
that's probably
even-
line
yeah.
of sight too.
No one
I
knows
think
how
Connor
they
was. Hey,
go.
I think Connor was like up the top of long course, and we're at the start line, and he was pretty choppy. So
Again, we spoke about this last week. He's driving a Honda, making all sorts of fucked up noises.
it wasn't the noises; it was just Connor isms.
So
Do you got what different? Jai wants to know what diff ratio you guys are running.
4.3.
4.3. Are you in a 4.3 as well, Jake?
I
I
don't know.
think it's 4.1. Whose diff have you got?
I've got a welded R180 which came with the car.
Okay. What's your other car's got?
It's got Nick's Tome
Yeah.
for
Okay.
months.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 4.3.
Yeah.
But I think
Jai
he
reckon-
should be in
Jai-
4th.
Yeah, Jai reckons he can't get to 4th and not overshoot the entry, but I felt like I would have been easily able to grab 4th and sort of have a flick in, but I just didn't have the balls to do it on the day.
It's different type of entry, I reckon, because if you do the Sydney flick, then you wipe off a lot of speed and you'll be in 3rd gear by the time you come out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to struggle because I find that big hole between 2nd and 3rd on the Z32 gearbox, but now with the smaller turbo, it didn't seem to sort of be there as bad, and yeah, I would have had time to grab 4th. So I don't know. Jai's got to start grabbing 4th the next day, or just get onto it faster, mate.
I think he'll make it in 4th. So
He's just got to do his single flick instead of his big Mungie entry.
yeah, and he can do that because I've seen him do that.
Yeah, he did it in front of me when I asked him to. So
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny if I get the hole straight. So if I come out of the final corner, then I'm in 5th when I approach short course.
yeah, that's
I don't kick in 5th because I have little faith that it'll actually do very much when I think I can get step out, but then I think he'll just like straighten up because he doesn't have enough torque.
Wait, have you entered in 5th where you just sort of flick the car without clutch kicking?
No, too scared.
To just crank the wheel and hope that it comes around.
No, I just go back to 4th. I do the normal everyone else, brake and then put it in 4th and then go.
Oh, fuck that then. Then that's lame. Just stay off the gas for a little bit longer and then get on it at the right time, I guess.
I do what I told Ben off for lifting instead of going in 5th.
Yeah, fair
It's
enough.
like, oh, I'm scared. No, 4th.
Has Paul done it in 5th?
I don't know.
Like, that'd be
It's not a long
interesting to
course.
know.
I think his diff ratio is different.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Connor said it means you have too much power because you've got a lift. That goes against your golden rule, mate. If you've got a lift, you've got too much power.
Yeah, kind of. Like, it's really hard to say. So, it was the way I explained it wasn't very good, but it means it does
I
mean
know.
that it's more than I'm capable of, which is good. So I don't need any more power. Is the idea?
Yeah.
Until you can drive.
Yeah, until I can conquer that, then if I get more power, it doesn't actually help me at that point.
Have you done it in Paul's listening? Have you done it in 5th, Paul? Like actually flicked it into short, or you've only done it in fourth? It's a delay, so
Yeah.
we won't get it straight away.
So I'm not sure. I think
'Cause
pretty
you wouldn't
sure
wanna-
his diff ratio is different.
Because you wouldn't want to clutch kick fifth. You'd probably explode it, right?
Don't know. No idea.
Yeah, it's an overdrive. So
Is
crucial.
Yeah,
Yeah, but-
isn't it pretty small? So you probably. Nah, he's only ever done it in fourth. So, yeah, maybe that's next Wakefield day. Somebody's got to try fifth and actually flick it in. I'm looking at Jake.
If I'm there, if I can get leave.
I think
I'll
the
do my
other
best.
issue is you've got an
You're looking
R180.
sick, mate.
I do, but whatever. I've got another diff there. She'll be right.
Going to Longhurst.
Andrew Date said he from the back corner at Wakefield going into long. I still have some revs left in fourth with 4 ones and 190 kilowatts. Third still has some room on short too.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I was going top of fourth, but then I caught someone and had
Is
to
it-
pull out.
Was that short or long?
Short.
Yeah, that's what I was starting to think too. Like I would have been able to grab fourth. I would have been midway, like mid-range in fourth. But yeah, again, I just didn't have the nuts to do it.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
everyone's in fifth going to long course.
Yeah, I was in fifth when I did long course.
Yeah.
And then I think pretty sure I changed into fourth as I passed Bamford.
Oh, going down
Or-
the front. Okay, now I get what you mean. Yeah, heading down the front straight as you pass the actual what's supposed to be the stop-go line. You sort of not the traditional stop-go line, but the sort of the drift line up area. You're grabbing fourth.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. And what do you like? You're 180, 190 kilowatt as well.
160.
Okay, whatever.
Oh, what were you, Greg?
What was I? What was I? Or what am I?
Right.
What am I? Like 280. Yeah. I didn't lift. I just bang limiter in the gear that I stay in. I just don't grab another gear. Does that break your rules or is that okay?
You're
Well,
driving to your
limiter. No, he's on limiter. Like, just pick another gear.
I like Jake's reaction to that. It's just he's driving to his skill level. Like, that's it. Like, I like Jake's answer better. Thank you, Jake, for backing me up on this one.
That's okay.
I'm
Don't want to
I'm-
see you die yet.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm down for that. Yeah, Paul said he's in fourth going into long for him, but he didn't do long on the last day.
No, I didn't do long at all. I realised I just pretty much kept it short. Remember when? Actually, no, you don't. Because long used to be the pro course, and everyone wanted to do long only, including the pro people.
Yeah, I think people are enjoying tight tandems now more than they are the fast drive. What are you doing, mate? Smacking your microphone into your face. I think people are enjoying tight tandems more and more now than just the high speed driving. So,
Yeah.
which is good. I don't know. Yeah, the tight tandems seem to be the way to go and getting involved in the trains or whatever the definition of train is now. Saw some loose terms used of late of what a train actually is. I was hoping Bamford would put up a status. Hopefully he will eventually.
It's the same as tandems.
Well, tandem
Say
is
a
too.
tandem, but yeah, but they've got like 5 car lengths between the cars. That was
Yeah.
a sick tandem, bro.
Yeah, that's a fair call. And then a train with 3 people.
Yeah, but there's like 150 meters from start to end.
Don't exaggerate. It's only 100. So, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
What else do we need to cover?
it's nothing we need to cover, but
I'm
Yeah.
on 2% battery.
well, that's not so good.
So
I started on
eventually,
10. So it's all right.
Are you on an iPhone or you're on something else?
Samsung.
Oh, you'll be all right for a little while longer then, mate. If it was an apple, it would be dead now. It would have been dead 45 minutes ago.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, we just sort of just had a random shit talk episode, and I think that's sort of where we've taken it. Few things said that needed to be said, and a few things said that didn't need to be said, but
A few things not
always
said
a good-
that should be said.
yeah, we'll get there eventually. Just got to come up with the right approach on how that stuff should be said. But look, if you listen this far in and you're on Assetto Corsa, get in contact with me or Jake. There's a few others who are driving Assetto Corsa fairly regularly at the moment. It'd be cool to get a bigger group of guys because some nights there's only a couple of us who can get on at a time. It'd be nice to have a bigger group doing that.
You should spend
Red-
that time fixing your car.
There's nothing wrong with my car. I just the intake manifold's off. I've just got to go and get it welded up, and then the car's running again. So don't give me shit on that. The car actually works for once. The Red Stage guys are doing the Senna 30Ks. They're a motorcycle communication device. Hopefully we can make it a regular thing within events all over Australia that more and more people are sort of getting onto that so that people can actually communicate and organise tandems. I think it'll sort of add another level of stuff to the driving.
I guess what's one of the cool things about that unit is you don't actually need to program or like go through a sequence to connect to each other. So as long as everyone's on like a public channel, you just have to turn it on and then be in the vicinity and you'll connect to the conversation, and that's it. I guess there'll be times when you wanted to separate from that group, so you would create your own sort of group chat. That's maximum 16, but that's still heaps. So even if you didn't want to get into this big sort of public thing, you can organize your own sort of team, group, whatever, friends-based sort of chat, and then go that way. Oh, I think the internet's dropped out. No, it's back again.
Oh, yep.
Mine went. Did yours guys go?
Yeah, mine was
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it broadcasted. No, it was still broadcasting, so I can see it on YouTube. But I just lost you guys. So it must be in Skype.
And
Anyway,
I paused in a really awkward position. But yeah, so we'll wait and see. But as a group, I'm getting involved with it too, so that should hopefully add another dimension to it and should make practicing a whole lot easier. I had a call out if Jai's still listening. Grant Davies wanted to know why the hell you wouldn't lead him. You always wanted to go behind him at the Wakefield day. So next time you're driving together, he'd like to try and jump on your doors to stop being a puss. His words, not mine. It wasn't his words, but I chose it for him. And yeah, I think next week, I don't know what we have planned. We have a SA driver hopefully coming on before DCA.
yeah, we just had to
Queen
figure out the
again.
At
time.
some point.
Sorry.
Are you going to get Andy on at some point?
If Andy will get in contact with us
Maybe.
and come on.
Okay.
Maybe.
And yeah, maybe the week I'm supposed to be away, if I can get internet fast enough, maybe I'll jump in from Germany. I think that might be the week we have Troy from SA, so we'll have a listen. Well, I'll try and make that happen and then see how that goes.
And we can probably reschedule that day.
I wouldn't try and reschedule because I can't make any guarantees of where or what I'll be doing. So
Like even if it's
yeah.
before you leave.
I leave at 11 a.m. on Tuesday morning,
Tuesday.
so it'd have to be Monday. So, it's just not worth the risk. We'll just make that happen, and then we'll see it from there. And then EG's away to Japan with Jake and the other Red Stage guys and a few other guys the week after that, just leading into Cash Kings. So we'll work out what we're going to do around that, and I'm going to try and get up and fly up and help the New South Wales boys at Cash Kings and see what I can do up there. But it's sort of going to be a busy time for all of us, I think, and then just after that, we're pretty much into the next Wakefield Day and all that sort of business going on. I'm going to try and press Luke for some more information if he's made decisions about the summer series stuff so that people can start planning. And then, yeah, rest of the high-tech season and all that sort of stuff. So busy last 6 months of the year coming up. So, well, last 5 months of the year. That's kind of scary to think, really. So, and then everybody's got to keep their car in one piece to do that North Circuit Day.
I'm not going to be.
Are you already going to be gone for that?
Yep.
Why don't you leave the car here, fly back for that event, and then ship the car up?
I'll be driving.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fuck that shit.
Yep.
Through the middle of Australia.
Yep.
Very exciting time.
I might stop past JDMX Park because I'll be towing a car, so see how we go.
Isn't that a bit out of the way? But I guess if you're going to make the trip, then why not?
Well, yeah, I don't want to get caught in the floods going through Queensland, so I'll go across to Port Augusta and then up to Guts.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
way we
fair
went
enough.
as well. When I went to Darwin, it was Port Augusta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you might get lucky. The drift track at Taylor might be open, and you can always head south a few hours and do that on the way up too.
That'll be fun.
So, yeah, we're waiting to hear news on that. I think I saw video of go-karts and stuff happening on.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
So
Looks
hopefully
cool.
hopefully that's the start. Hopefully that's the start for the SA guys, and hopefully we get some news soon on that. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
anything else, or that's pretty much where?
Well, Jake
you're
didn't
at,
really
that's where
talk
we're
much
at.
this episode, did he?
No, I warned you.
No, he's a bit shy.
No,
But
it's not
then-
that he's shy. It's just like
Yeah, I
he's
think
like,
we have
how
to
far
keep. No, we have to
How
keep.
far does he want to push the friendship? I think a little bit
What
with
friendship?
what he wants to say, not with
Yeah.
us, but like with the universe.
What do you mean? I don't have any friends. Good to go.
But yeah,
So yeah, we'll have to. Once there's another time, we'll get Jake
Well,
back
once
on
you
and
guys
actually do.
yeah.
Yeah, Jake's
you guys
got to
can come back
win
from Japan.
G1. He's got to win G1,
Jake's-
then we'll.
It's got to be
we'll
me and you in
consider
the
it.
final.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
was
haven't
gonna say
even
it's gonna
entered.
be.
Oh, haven't you?
No, because it's out of my budget.
Okay.
Oh, so then it's only up to you because I was gonna say it's EG and Jake in the final, and EG T-bones the shit out of Jake, so Jake
I would.
wins.
Yeah.
And yeah,
No, I'd bitch you out like I did last year. I thought I was going to get T-boned, so.
No. Yeah, as soon as
Mine,
I saw
you
that
can-
coming.
hey, is that
Connor
wanker in the
already
front?
broke my car off, so
Is that wanker in the front wheel drive going to drive again in G1?
probably.
Yeah, see if it breaks the
He's
internet
gonna
again.
knock me out, apparently. So, we'll see how it goes.
Let's see how butthurt the internet gets again. That shit was good. So maybe we can let's get Jake back on probably the week after you guys get back from Japan, so we can do a full debrief and you can tell me all your stories.
How
Okay.
many showers I have to take.
Oh, I'm down. Just send me Snapchats of that one. I don't actually
Okay.
have Snapchat, but
I didn't get the same accommodation as last time. So I managed to get some more Western style accommodation. There was lots of
Oh, so you don't have
complaints
to-
about.
you don't have
Sorry?
to shit into a little hole in the ground.
No, they have
No, I
toilets in
had proper
Japan.
toilet.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
we stayed at the same place where Chelsea Genofa stayed. He had in one of his videos.
Yeah.
He went down to
Come
a little
on.
waterfall. He didn't fall over like you did though.
Sounds messy. All right. Well, let's wrap it up for tonight, and then we'll definitely catch up with Jake once you guys come back from Japan, because
Will we?
I want the actual because I want the dirty goss, not just like the EG style like dry goss. I want the full dirty details.
Okay.
I want to know who's shit on whose dick. Like, let's see it. Like, I want to hear about it.
Let's see it. Is that what you get off on?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
My terminology gets
Right.
more loose as these
Oh, look.
episodes go on, and I get more tired.
Erin's finally on.
Erin's
Oh.
been on for a little while.
Finally.
Actually,
No
So-
drinking for me after G1 this year.
no, definitely. Yeah, I have plans. Hopefully, I don't know how the show's gonna work while I'm over there, but I want to try and keep it going, I guess. But maybe I can try and meet up with some people there and do some interviews. Get Erin back on because she pulls a lot of people into our shows.
Should do a video of Aaron trying to eat fish. That'd be good. While drifting.
I think you're the only person that gets off on that.
What do you mean?
There's been some questionable things going on in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, Wayne's loving it.
So that's weird. Nah, it's only weird if you don't smile about it.
It's only
Okay.
Casey.
That's it. It's exactly how it works in figure skating too. Awkward silence.
All right. I think
Alright.
that's probably enough shit. Do a stream from here. There. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens as we go. And yeah, we'll try and keep it going. But yeah, random episode tonight. Thanks for listening if you actually made it through some of this. But sometimes we feel like we just need an open debate sometimes too, because we end up with guests on and we get stuck talking based around the guest, and there's stuff that needs to be said that we don't say. And now that EG loves FD, stuff needs to be said.
Team
That
Steam's
didn't
number
work.
one fan.
All right. Good night,
So do I
guys.
just need to sign off right now, just before the end of the show.
Just do the awkward Curse Sundays mic drop.
I'm off.
You're still there, mate. That didn't work.
No,
All right.
good.
I'm just gonna.
Just end it.
call it. I'm gonna call it.